Man, all right, we ready to rock? I've already read the scripture and I already prayed because I didn't realize there was a song coming. So let's get right into it because we have quite a bit. I'm going to break this into two like I did last time. So we're going to cover the first part, the lukewarm part, and then we'll cover the rich man and the poor man and buying from God. So right now we're going to cover the lukewarm. I know your works, that you are neither cold nor hot. I wish that you were cold or hot. So then, because you are lukewarm, neither cold nor hot, I will vomit you out of my mouth. When I was studying this passage, remember, we're still in the series, The Church in When? The Modern Age. And if you have missed some of these last Sundays, you've missed some really interesting sermons. And I would like to give a plug to those who are making the CDs up top. You can buy all of them. You can get them. If you have no money, you can just ask, and they will give it to you. Ask me, and I'll give you my copy. It is very important that you get these and that you understand what's going on in the modern age. Because a lot of things are happening. When I was researching this, when I was reading this, what was bothering me was so often I've heard this preached or I've heard people talk about it. You know, the lukewarm, don't be a lukewarm Christian. You ever heard of that? Don't be a lukewarm Christian. You should be hot or you should be cold, but don't be what? Lukewarm. But no one ever explained to me why they were lukewarm. See, people don't just want to be lukewarm. You didn't become a Christian. You didn't get baptized to say, all right, so now I'm going to be neither hot nor cold. Now I'm just going to chill over here in the back. Most of us, when we were first baptized, if you remember right back then, we were on fire for the Lord. Moving and doing things. And you were like, man, I can't wait to be on this auxiliary and that auxiliary. And then as time passed, things just started to dwindle. And then you say, hey, sister, brother, would you mind doing this? Oh. We have this meeting after church. Oh. We have this auxiliary. Oh. The church asks so much of me. I'll give you this. The church that they're describing, if you look at the context in which they are talking about, you'll understand, you'll have a better understanding of why they were lukewarm, what it meant to be lukewarm in that context. Because honestly, it's not what I just described. I know that's what most people have told you. And honestly, if you want to be lukewarm that way, that's not really being lukewarm. It's just you being tired, wanting a break. And hopefully after you take that break, you go right back on that auxiliary. But everyone needs what? A break. That's not what they're talking about here. I know you thought it was a plug for auxiliaries, huh? No. What I'm actually saying is lukewarm is more in depth than that. So what was that church fighting against that made them lukewarm? What was the context in which they were lukewarm? There was a cult called the cult of Caesar at that time. It was the government cult. What would happen is, if you didn't belong to any one of the general temples, or even if you did, there were special days that were set aside of the week, of the month, special holidays that were set aside, special sacrifices that were set aside that were designed just for the government and the Caesar at that time. So you would have to go and worship this man. And they would bring him out. It would be a large parade. They would bring him out, and then they would have to worship this man. And all the men that came before him, that was the Caesar that came before him. It wasn't like the president. You know how we like Obama? Hey, Obama. Some of you like Trump. Some of you hate him. It's not like, hey, I like Trump. No, it was like true worship of the man. Like he was a living God. Do you understand what I'm saying? It was a little different than what we do to a degree, because some of those Trump rallies get really out there sometimes. But what I'm saying is, at this time, the government had their own religion. And if you were under their rule, then you had to be part of what? That religion. So maybe you were part of the Dionysus, right? And you were worshiping Dionysus. On that day, you stopped worshiping Dionysus and you started worshiping what? The government. If you did not do that, they would kill you. Why, though? You got to understand, it's not just because they believe that even if one didn't worship the God would get angry and bring wrath upon them. It wasn't that they hated Christians. It was that they hated anybody that would bring wrath upon the government. So the Christians, you can worship Christ all you want. But on the government day, you have to come and what? Worship the government. Or else, the gods would get angry and they would come and they would destroy all of us. So you Christians are stopping us from receiving our blessings. Do you get what I'm saying to you? So Christians said, I can't worship that. I can't worship that because it's not Jesus. And Jesus says that I can only worship Jesus. So guess what started happening to Christians? They started dying. So some Christians, here we go, some Christians had a great idea. You know how Christians start getting to thinking, right? What if I worship Jesus in my heart? In my heart. In here, I worship Jesus. And I just do the sacrifice, but I don't really mean it. In here, I'm a Christian. But I just do the sacrifice on the sacrifice days, and I say all the little chants, and I do the little worships, and then after that day is over, guess what? I just go back to being a Christian. Okay. People kind of got mad about that. So, and some people started lying and saying they did the sacrifice, but then they didn't do it because, they didn't want to. So they started giving out tokens. So if you did the sacrifice, they would give you a token for that month. And then the Imperial Guard would come and say, where's your token? And they'd be, oh, here's my token. And then you didn't die. But if you didn't have a token, it means you didn't sacrifice, so then what would happen? They'd kill you on the spot. They'd kill you. Or they would take you in, they would try you, then they would kill you. What I'm saying is, sometimes Christianity costs something. Sometimes Christianity costs something. Christianity isn't free. Salvation isn't free. Someone died for it. Salvation isn't free. You died for it. The old man died, and the new man is now hopefully standing in front of me. Sitting in front of me. Christianity costs something. So you can't be a Christian in your heart and act as though you're not a Christian every other part. You can't be a Christian on Sunday. A Christian on Sunday, but everything else on Friday. You can't be a Christian right here. You look very nice. You all look very nice. And then when you leave, start cursing and fighting, raising Cain. That's what they're talking about when they say lukewarm. See, when they're really talking about is the people that are Christians, and they say, you say, you're a Christian? Wait. You go to church? Oh, I go to church every Sunday. Wait, what church you go to? Let me know. Let me know what church you go to. You should know that I'm a Christian without me saying that I'm a Christian. But if I'm lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, neither Christian but not Christian, neither you don't know what I am. I could be anything. That's what lukewarmness is. Lukewarmness is really saying you're a Christian in your heart. I love that. I'm a Christian in my heart. But my actions don't really show it. I'll give you an example how Christianity can cost you everything. Give one an example? I'll give you an example. Before I was in ministry, I was in training to do ministry. And I was working at this job. And they gave me, and the job didn't have a lot of hours. I was like a part-timer, but I had this baby, and it was really hard. And so, I might get hours, I might not get hours. Every month, I didn't know whether I was going to get hours or not. But we made it through. We made it through. So my boss comes, and he's like, you know what? I'm moving up. I'm moving up. And I'm looking at all the staff, and you're the most faithful, so I'd like you to take my position. This is a full-time position. Full-time. So what did I say? Sign me up. Let's do it. Right? This is my shot. This is my shot. I get up there. I'm there for a week. I'm there for 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden they come at me with these random requests. Hey, would you just sign this real quick? Well, I need to read it. I don't know. Well, just sign it. Just sign it real quick. Wait, I don't know what this is. And then so then I take it. I read it after I sign it. Because I need this job, right? I need this job. So I sign it. Then I read it. I'm like, these people weren't here. I happen to know because I used to teach this guy. He's not even enrolled anymore. Now just sign it. Don't worry about it. So I go to my wife. I'm like, I don't know what to do now. I need this job, see? I need this job. But they're asking me to what? To lie. Jesus says that I can't what? So Jesus is telling me that I need to be truthful, but my job is telling me in order to get paid, I gotta what? Now I don't know what to do. So now what I want to do is be a Christian in my heart, see? I want to be a Christian in here. And then just sign my name real quick. Just close my eyes and sign it real quick. So for that moment, I'm not a Christian. And then after I sign it, I go back to what? Being a Christian. I sign. But I said, I can't do it. I can't do it. Christianity is telling me I can't lie like that. So I told my boss, I can't do it. I said, no. He said, what do you mean, no? You were working 4 hours a week at best. Now you're working full-time, benefits. Don't you have a baby? Sign this paper. So I signed it that day. I signed it. I'm not going to lie. I signed it. He made a point. It was a valid point. Oh, I signed my name that day. But then I went home and I thought, oh man, God was hitting me right here. And I went back the next day. I said, dude, I can't sign no more of these, man. I can't do it. I can't sign any more of these. So he goes, you know what that means, right? I said, yeah. So they found someone that would. And they boosted me right on down, and they cut my hours to 2 hours a week. That's what they did for me. Congratulations. You want to be Mr. Christian? You want to be Mr. Saved? Now you get 2 hours a week. So I said, okay, man. So now I'm crying, man, because now I got to train the guy that they hired. Isn't that the worst? So I'm training the guy that they hired because he don't know nothing. And I'm training him how to do my job. And now I got 2 hours a week. Here's the glory of the gospel, though. That 2 hours a week made me go and look out for other jobs. It took a while, but I found a job. Right as I found a job, the government came and closed them down for what? For lying. All of those managers got called in except for one. I never got called. You know why? I didn't lie. You got to understand something. Christianity costs. Christianity isn't free. Whoever told you that Christianity won't cost, it's a lie. You go in that water, you come out of that water, you've got a target on you. It used to be back in the day, back in the early church, you would come in the water, come out of the water, knowing you might die. That's why these Christians were so lukewarm. They didn't want to give that sacrifice of their life. They didn't want to make that cost. They didn't want to pay it. They didn't want to see it. So they were Christians in their hearts. And outside, they were whatever they were doing. What I'm suggesting to you is to examine yourself. Every aspect of your life. And find the places where the dark areas are. We have them, I have them. You have them, I have them. I'm really preaching to you, but I'm really preaching to myself. But I'm preaching to you too. Because what do we need to do? We need to examine and find those areas where we are lukewarm. Neither hot nor cold. Neither for God nor against God. Neither with. And in those areas, we must change. Turn up the fire. Turn up the heat. Become the Christians that God has called us to be. Because in those areas, you will find the greatest sacrifice and gifts. Because how can God carry you to the next level if you haven't mastered this? How can God carry you to where he wants you to be if you aren't ready yet? If you're going to sit there and lie, then how can God give you a job where you will be even worse if you lie? You have to understand that this church here was faced with a life and death situation. And in that life and death situation, they had to make a choice, and they always chose wrong. So that's why God said, I will spit you out. I can't use you. You are unuseful to the body of Christ that way. How can you tell somebody else about the glory of God when you are sitting here doing this and doing that? It's impossible. It's an impossibility. So I leave you with this. And we will continue on and we'll go to the rich man and the poor man in a bit. But that is directly tied to this. Their two are tied. That's why they're together. If you understand the reason why they were lackadaisical in their Christian faith, then you will understand why this was not even a rich town, but they said, I have enough. I don't need to do anything else. I'm good where I am. I don't need to what? Move forward. Never grow complacent in our Christianity. Never believe that we are where we need to be. We are not. Every day is an opportunity to grow more and further and closer to God. Every day is an opportunity to do something great in the life of somebody else. So I leave you with this. God be with you. God be with you. Don't be afraid, for God is not the spirit of fear. If you have to make a decision, make that decision with God in mind. What would God want me to do here? Because Jesus died on the cross for you and me. Not so that we can be lukewarm and deny him. Not so that we can be lukewarm and deny him. For we are not ashamed of the gospel. For we are not what? Ashamed of the gospel. For it is the salvation of all. Don't be afraid. In the coming days, you might have to make a decision, or you are in the midst of making a decision that could change everything. I'm always making these decisions. As a family man, I have to decide what to do, not just for myself, but for my family. And these decisions sometimes puts us all in jeopardy, like saying, I'm not going to take the money. But if you have faith, if you have what? Faith. If you have faith, then all that is happening around you, you know that God will see you through it. Amen. Amen.